I'm Brad Hubbard. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a home building consultant. Been in the home building industry since way back in 1993, and got to build, I don't know, 1,000 homes or so in my career. And that and what they do, just I tell you that because that means, I've been through this a few times in my life. But I'm so honored today to have two other very super people who know this industry inside and out joining me too. Melissa Gowan, I'll start with you. If you want to tell everybody, say hi to everybody, say a little bit about you, just in case they don't know who you are, and they should.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Galland. I am the founder of Do and Be Agency. We're a marketing, branding, kind of everything group that's just passionate about helping builders and building industry companies do and be better. I've been in the industry not quite as long as Brad, but pretty darn close. I spent about 10 years in-house and about 10 years consulting. So right now, pretty even split. I just love this industry. And leading into our next guest too, I'll share, I have a real passion also for on your lot building. I spent over 7 years in On Your Lot, which is how I got to know the amazing Heidi. So I will let you introduce yourself.
Yeah. Welcome in, Heidi.
That was going to be my fun fact, Melissa, is that we worked for rival companies and now we're working together, and I love it. Ooh. I love it. We've become good friends, and we both share that same passion for the industry. I'm Heidi Schrader. I'm a senior consultant at ECI, and I work primarily with our sales and marketing products for residential home construction for Lasso, Insert, and LotView. And I just thank you for inviting me, Brad and Melissa, to be a part of this, because I love this industry too. And anything that we can do to help make a better customer experience, I'm on board. So better customer experience, better internal experience. Working for a builder sometimes gives us hard questions. Anything we can do to move that needle in a more positive direction is good with me.
Very good. Well, thank you both for being part of this too. I know you're going to have great insight into this. And I also have to give kudos to some of these really neat graphics and the helping of my own branding on here, my Welcome to Home Building type of brand too. Melissa looked at some of the early things I had and go, no, that's not going to work. And took it upon herself and threw some things together. I go, dang, it looks good. So thank you very much for that. So I appreciate that too. And sorry you have to put the big goofy picture of me in addition to the little goofy picture of me, but that's just what you get. Tough. That's how it's going to be. So let's just talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. And I'm just going to talk about, kind of what is a troll. I think most all of us know, but I also like to have this for those who maybe didn't have the joy of meeting a troll yet. Congrats to you if you haven't. You should know what it is. It's probably good at that.
Is this going to get to your Terminology Tuesday?
It might, yeah, and add it to my home builder glossary. You never know. I never thought of that. Would be a good keyword for that. So yeah, I better do that. So thanks for that as well. We'll just go through a real quick evolution of the troll for home builders, a little bit of kind of how they work in everyday life, and also a little bit about how it's worked over the years since I started way back before the internet started, all kinds of good stuff, those types, and kind of working our way through that. And then really, I'm going to bring you two in here. You're going to be the experts in terms of being proactive and what we should be doing, or what a home builder should be doing to kind of keep that to a minimum overall, and hopefully not have those trolls attack at all. But we all know, or at least those of us who've experienced it, if they're going to attack, they're going to attack. That's the nature of a troll, and really what you do as you move along. So as we go through here, folks, I want you to know we want interaction from you. So there's all kinds of fun ways on this. Is why I use this particular session for my webinars. If you click on the screens, I think you can get little fireworks going. Is that right? Can you guys do that? Anybody? Yeah, or you can click on screens and do fun stuff like that. There's little emoji things you can jump around there. There's a chat feature in the bottom right-hand corner. I think you have a little chat bubble. You can open up a chat if you want to say anything there. And I think, this is pretty new, I think there's a Q&A. I'm going to start Q&A. I don't know how that's different than chat. I mean, either way, we'll get to that. So hopefully I'll see one way or the other as we go. So all kinds of fun stuff. This is what happens when we get on live TV. I just play around with it and see what happens. So you never know on that too. All right, so let's kind of jump in, just talk about a troll. You can see I went to great extremes finding all kinds of fantastic troll pictures called the Google and found some good ones. So if you see any here and are copyrighted, keep your lawyers away. I just found them. It's just edutainment purposes anyway, those types of things. So let's just talk kind of about what a troll is for those of you who've never got to join one too. You know, it's really today, it's people going online, posting comments. They're upset about something, real or perceived. I mean, we have to be honest. There are sometimes as home builders, we mess up. I mean, it just comes down to it. So I think that's the case, but the trolling folks decide they want to kind of get online and tell all the other people on that. Is that decent from you two? Any more kind of thoughts on that?
We see it a lot. We see it in every industry. And I think anybody that's spent any sort of time on social media understands when there's a troll, what they are. Call them out what they are, right?
Well, true. And one thing we can talk about too, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, maybe it gets into the evolution a little bit, but so back in the 90s, there was this statistic that we talked about. I worked in the restaurant industry, and it was if someone leaves and they had a bad experience, they're going to tell 10 of their friends. And then you kind of look at that in today's climate and looking at like the average person has at least 383 friends. And I think that's kind of skewed because most people have more than that. I think it's the people who have like no friends or very little friends that are skewing that average. But that's the reach we're talking about. They go on and they have a bad experience with you. It's instantly reaching at least 300 people, right? And then it can go on and on and on.
Exponentially, yeah. Except for me, you guys are my only two friends. That's why you're here. So yeah, I can reach 9 people real quick. So
we can do that.
Yeah. So have a couple in here. Of course, trolling is just someone's deliberately trying to upset someone else online. You know, they could be doing it direct, those types of things too. Oh, good. Thank you, Melissa, for throwing that out there too for other ideas too. And trolling, I think, can lead to a pile on. I'm going to show you an example here too. Others. It's easy to just jump on and attack, you know, once the, you know, it's easy. I think I saw someone share out on social media a little bit ago that social media has let people make it real easy for people to ditch people when they know they can't be punched in the head or something like that. It was pretty good. It was like, you know, Mike Tyson or someone on that picture too, or something like that. So anyway, a little bit what you're talking about, Melissa, I thought, here you all are going to see my master PowerPoint skills here. I thought it would be fun to kind of walk through the evolution of how trolls have come about as you move along here. So just be ready to be wowed. This is amazing. I might be going for an Oscar for this or something too. But we have a troll. I know you have a troll in here too, and it gets unhappy, or he or she gets unhappy, decides to tell your troll friend. So this is generally how it happened way back in the 90s before the internet was out there. One troll says to the other, you know, my builder was very mad, the builder, and the other one says, hey, I'm going to go tell my friend. So just what you were talking about there, Melissa, before you stole a little bit of my thunder. You gave the precursor type, but then that troll goes and tells their friends. So it was okay. It was not terrible. A couple more people would be able to hit that. But the trolls evolved, as any troll does. So now they decide, and this has happened to us as a home building company at one point. The troll says, I'm going to post a sign in my front yard, something like that. And they're putting pictures like this out. So, you know, don't buy from this builder X. You know, we had I'm sorry?
We've seen those.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember a situation where we actually had a house that ended up, unfortunately, it was built on fill and it was starting to sink at the time. And there was a help my house is sinking out front type of deal too. And, you know, until you had a chance to take care of it, but, you know, which we did, but, you know, it was quick and it was in a development where you're building a lot of houses. So that's kind of where they've evolved from that. They go, okay, I'm going to make it a little bit more public. I'm not just telling my friends. I want anybody who drives by here to know this. Okay, so they've evolved a little bit more now. Now they go, you know what? I'm going to get them on the news. too, and say, I'm going to get them on the news. So they contact their local news investigator, and the investigator is out. And then you get the stories on the local news. You get the stories on their website. I actually did a podcast a while back with someone who was originally with the news, and I asked, what do you do when the news person starts, coming to your door and knocking on the door? What are the good things and bad things to do? So it's kind of interesting as well how that kind of goes. So nice podcast is still out there as well. All right, so great news. That's bad too, and we'll talk a little bit later again in terms of how we get into that. And Troll decides, what? Social media is everywhere. I have my 383 friends, unless you're me. I'm going to go out and do those types of things. So they start posting on your Facebooks, Twitters. Or when I did my search just yesterday, I found this Facebook group that happened to have 18,000 people as part of it. It's a public group out there. I hid the name of the builder because it was really, probably find it if you want to look for something, but it's just amazing. And I actually joined the group secretly, only because I'm not a homeowner of this particular builder, but I just wanted to see what people are posting. And it's amazing how even in the last day or two, just post after post after post, and people are piling on. Each post will get like 65 comments from other people. It's amazing how this can snowball. Have either of you seen this with any other builders?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm very
every builder. That I know when I worked for a builder, looked for other builders in my region. Looked to see what, and every builder I think had one that I looked for. So sometimes they're under specific names of people, but if you don't know as a builder, if you don't know if you have one, do some searching, and you probably do.
Yeah. I remember actually one of our competitors, one of their customers actually they bought the domain name of homebuildersucks.com. I mean, that was literally, again, I'm not going to say homebuilders, because any of that could happen to any of us, but it's so easy for someone to go and get a domain name and then just decide to go out and do that too. Obviously, Facebook, Twitter, those types are easy to do that too. And Justin, yeah, it was crazy. It was the whole thing. They were trying to get people on that one too, and that was even that was quite a lot.
What you were saying about competitors is interesting too, Heidi, because some of the pages I've seen, it's interesting because they're talking. This is the page about a particular builder, but then people will start bringing up every one of their competitors. And they will lay in just as hard, it spins into, there's like almost as much negative feedback oftentimes for each competitor. Someone will say, well, I'm working with so-and-so because of this page. And then 10 people will instantly reply oh, no, we did that.
Yep. You're exactly right.
Yeah, and that was on this page too. As I went down through there, you'd see that. I hope I don't have an issue with them like this. And then you're right, and it just gives an opportunity for people to pile on. And sometimes I can't say we can't put it past a competitor to create their own group too and look like a customer too. So that's probably a topic for another day or something like that too. So, I know you've all been wowed by my fantastic PowerPoint skills, so I'll take you off that one too.
Yeah,
so let's
we're going to submit you for some awards now.
All right, thank you. I'll be looking for it too. And Justin, thank you for mentioning there in the chat. For those who have come in since, don't see there is a little chat feature down at the bottom. Make sure you check in on that. There is a Q&A area. I don't know really the difference between the two, other than you can put a question in, I think anonymously if you want. Who knows? But yeah, Justin was mentioning how disgruntled warranty customers. You're right. People, when they're living in their house, they're quick to go and do that if they don't think it moves quick enough for their time frame, or if they just think this shouldn't be warrantable. Whether that's weeds coming up by their shrubs or something like that. It kind of comes in there too. Anyway, I want to bring you guys in and talk about some things you can do because, Heidi, you work with Lasso and kind of the CRM type of thing. Melissa, in terms of the brand, those type of things. I think you'll both have really fantastic things. So let's talk about kind of being proactive and why that is important. And Melissa, I'm going to let you kind of expound on this a little bit too, because you kind of started with this as we were sharing notes to get ready for this. You're kind of saying, let's talk about about being proactive, because that's ultimately the best we can do up front at this point.
Yeah, and Heidi can jump in at any time too, because this is something we've actually talked together about pretty endlessly.
Yeah.
We're both very passionate about, I often call it the whole brand experience. It's everything from the way you hire a new team member to what you're saying to the customer a year after they move in. And there's all these touch points in between. It's every experience really that interacts with your brand. And so we have a checklist that we've worked on, and a few things that, and Heidi's been a part of helping create some of those. So we'll share those after this call with everyone on it. But yeah, so what we say about being proactive, like the first step is really defining your brand and having that visionary plan. Like, who are you? Where are you trying to go? And once you identify your values, and you can kind of work from there, right? Like, and integrate it and infuse it into all the things that you're doing. Really focusing a lot on your internal culture is number one, because we've all been down this road. Like, okay, we're gonna fix customer experience, but if the team members don't have the tools to enable them for success, or you're not helping them create the processes, and they're frustrated, even if you're making all these efforts for the customer experience to get better, it's going to be really hard for them to deliver it, either due to their lack of tools or information from the top, or their internal frustration with the company. So it's really, really important. It starts with, like I said, it starts with the job description that you wrote before they start working for you. Are you setting them up for success by writing that job description very clearly so they know what they're getting into? Very clearly with your brand guideline, like who you are, so they know what you expect. So it all starts right there, I'd say, wouldn't you, Heidi?
Setting those expectations. Melissa, I know that you and I both come from the on your lot builder world, and I know that we have some others on this call that are from that world. And I think that amplifies in on your lot, where you have to set those builder expectations. Where, what are you going to do? What am I going to do? How is this going to work? Not only with your team, but also with your customers, and setting those expectations and kind of mitigate that troll behavior.
Yeah, and I think you're both making a great point too. And like you said, the brand or the company kind of atmosphere truly does. I mean, we've all been to places, it doesn't matter if home builder, restaurant, wherever you go, and you go, man, that person's miserable at their job. If they're miserable at their job, they're not going to do any better to make things better for you as a company. So I think kind of that whole, what you're talking about, just kind of having that whole expectations for the employees up front, and making sure they truly are enjoying and they truly buy into what your mission is as a home builder, I think.
And then those tools for success that we talk about, both for the team and for the customer, those can be really helpful. And Justin, I don't know what you have in place, but just looking at your example that you shared, I worked for a builder, for example, that didn't have a separate customer care department. When I started, they didn't have a separate warranty department. And so it did get kind of explosive on social media from time to time, because the customer didn't have another place to go. And one thing that, like, the first step in helping fix that and make that better was creating a quick little landing page with a form. They now have a place, and we had something as the marketing team, a place to redirect. Oh, we do care about your experience. We're sorry you had this frustration. Here's the form online, and we guarantee a response within 2 business days. So kind of that's what we're saying. We're saying having the tools for the team and the customer, that made marketing's job a whole lot easier. It also greatly improved customer experience, but also on the other side, it helped the operations side, because they were never intentional about having warranty things slip through the cracks. But we had, at that builder at the time, we had a very clear process for how to build a house, but warranty will pop up intermittently, and there wasn't a process in place to track it. So the form that is on the marketing landing page became the first of something that has now evolved greatly, way to track the warranty issues. And so I don't know what you have, but with your customers, Justin, but just giving them a place so that they can take it offline and feel taken care of, giving them a special phone number, giving them a special place to go when those warranty issues are happening can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Very great. Very good. And I've heard you both speak, and Heidi, I'm not going to talk over you. I just wanted to make sure to get up my PowerPoint item. You know me and my PowerPoint, so too, because we are talking about prioritizing customer experience. And I don't know whether you're doing it through just landing, and Heidi, and I'm sure you'll get into this too, is kind of planning out that discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. And sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you either.
No, I've talked over you. Go for it.
I get so. When Melissa started talking about warranty, it just got me thinking, you know, how much the CRM, you already have tools that can help you with this. You may be able to have better tools, but your technology is already there. You have a CRM, you know, so hopefully all of you have a CRM. If you don't, let's talk. But using your CRM to be proactive about that communication can really mitigate that troll-like behavior. So warranty is one place that you can do that. You know, having your, like Melissa said, your warranty form lead to a warranty process within your CRM, where maybe even your warranty manager works within your CRM. But so there's communication there, and you have a place to house that communication, to follow up on that communication. I know that often with warranty things, and I see this with companies often, who gets it? If they don't have a warranty company that they use, it's always kind of a hot potato. You know, that warranty issue gets passed around, and nobody's really tracking that communication to understand it. So having that there in your CRM, you know, scheduling just regular proactive communication, I think, is the most important part of keeping your customers happy, so they can expect check-ins for you. You know, outside of warranty, you know, outside of warranty, I think that the hardest part of building is the time between the sale is made and they move it in. You know, on your lot building, of course, that's very extended, but even if you're selling a spec home, there's that shoulder part of uncertainty that people get really unhappy and uptight about, and myself included. You know, I'm no different. If I don't feel like I understand what's going on, it makes me unhappy, right? Mm-hmm. So scheduling regular proactive communication within your CRM ensures that your customer has a chance to voice their concerns and at each step of the way, without having them spill out outside of your CRM, you know, spill out into the general public.
Yeah, and you make a really good point, because I think a lot of home builders think CRM, and I might be overgeneralizing. You might both tell me I'm completely wrong, but think a CRM is just to push sales, and that's it. Once that sale happens, woo, they got it, and they can just let it go and forget about that. But like you said, there are times when you did, and there's that buyer's remorse that happens, that, you know, happens after you do it. Heck, I do that on cell phones. My wife will tell you I get a new cell phone. It's a different brand. I wouldn't sleep at night, and I go back and return the cell phone, go back to my old one or something like that. So a house, a little bit of a different, well, they're about the same price anymore, houses and smartphones and those types of things now. But, you know, so you could have different processes for different stages of that customer. So whether it's kind of pre-sale to get them in the door, to the sale, pre-construction almost phase. I mean, you set up different paths on that, and it's a little bit of both the customer experience you go through. And I know, Melissa, you're CX certified for customer experience certified. How do you typically set? And you know, because once they're in the house too, and that warranty comes. I know, Justin, you mentioned about the warranty on that too. Again, that's where a lot of builders, I think, forget that that's super important, because during the building of their house is important because that's what the customer is focused on. They're talking to everybody about it. So let's keep them happy that one. And then once they're in, they have nothing but time to look around and go, oh yeah, I got a scratch over here. And what are your thoughts? I mean, are you seeing the same thing that people a lot of times, their home builders a lot of times think it is just sales only?
Yeah, it happens a lot. And I'll say, and once you set it up for the rest of your team, they're going to love it. They might fight you initially because it's new and different. And we've been doing it this way for so long. I guess I have different voices.
You do have, I was going to tell you, wow. Yeah.
That was my construction super voice.
Okay.
But no, what they do is they ultimately will appreciate it, because the beauty of the one thing that neither of you mentioned, you use the word forget, Brad. With a CRM, you're not going to forget because it's automated. And with a CRM, someone from your marketing team created a template. And you don't have to try to come up with all of the words. Can you set it so that you get a reminder so you can customize it? Yes. But the hard part's going to be done for you. So that's like one of those benefits there of using the CRM and having those messages so that you don't forget. The other aspect of it, aside from the CRM, is the surveys. We don't recommend doing a survey just at move-in, right?
Okay.
Last builder I was working for, we had 7 surveys. Again, on your lot is an extensive process. But if the first time you survey them is after they move in and after they're already frustrated, they might not even want to take that survey. But if you're sending your surveys out proactively throughout the process, sometimes even at the high point in the process, just so that they know that they care, that you care, that they know about your form that you made for them to communicate anything that's going wrong, it helps them feel better. But it also can shine the light on, this isn't going well right now. How do we fix it before it turns into a troll?
Well, chiming in here just a little bit, you may not know this, Melissa, because I know that you weren't a Lasso user at your previous job, but you can actually set up surveys within your CRM, within Lasso, if you're a Lasso user. So it's free and easy, and setting up those surveys, I think, is really important. The other thing with post-sale type communication is twofold. You can send them regular warranty reminders. Send your buyers regular warranty reminders, or not warranty reminders, home maintenance reminders. So you don't have to tell them no on warranty issues. Well, we told you that you need to recalk at 2 years and 4 years. We sent out these reminders to recalk your bathtub, and now your bathtub's leaking. We don't have to tell them bad news, where it's a little bit more structured like that. So sending those regular warranty reminders. And then I work with a builder that follows up 10 years after the sale. They're asking every year, do you still love your home? And asking, if you do still love your home, would you be willing to refer us to some friends? So things.
Yeah, or buy again, because then it used to be every 7 years people would typically move. I mean, it was the average. I don't know if that's the same or not too.
It's 3 to 5 right now, but that was before the interest rates. So I don't know where it's gonna be, but the next time they average it out.
I'm about 24 or 25 in here, so I'm in one place, but anyway. But the other thing I want to bring up in terms of what's nice in terms of planning this out on a CRM, and I'm just thinking about this too, and I'm just writing my notes as we came along here too, is as it comes down to trolls, I think the nice thing about doing that is you are making sure that everybody gets the same exact information, the same exact wording in the same exact way. Because, let's face it, someone out there, if they go, well, wait a minute, you said this to my neighbor and you sent them this nice stuff, but you didn't send me anything. That's all of a sudden a breeding ground to start that kind of troll activity out there, one way or the other. So, and that can happen unintentionally by people. You just do that. And that comes down to whether you're doing that or option pricing. I've had builders, and I'm going to say we were one of them, didn't necessarily have the system down, and you might charge this person $75 and this person 125. Not intentional, but this person all of a sudden talks to this person, and it's a recipe for disaster. So another nice thing on that. Cool. Hey, look at the time. So let's talk about monitoring and improving your brand reputation. Well, I know that's a way to be proactive on that too. Thoughts on that? What are the best ways you found, either of you, to monitor, number one, and then, if you notice something's wrong, then kind of what are your action plans to go from there? I led it to both of you, and now none of you will say a thing. Melissa, I'm going to make you start.
Okay. Well, I know that this is Melissa's forte. This is where she really shines. So
yeah. No matter.
Well, thank you very much, Heidi. But I would say it's a little bit what we were talking about before. Part of monitoring is surveying. Part of monitoring is sending out those email communications through your CRM, through your team, asking, do you still love your home? Like that builder, I love that they're doing that for 10 years. That's amazing. And I bet their customer referral rate is through the roof. Sure, that drives their marketing costs down. But then there's monitoring. Like, so we, for some of at Do&B, for some of our partners, we have a service that we leverage, and we're actually monitoring their brand. There's a lot of different paid services you can use. There's some that are all different kind of price points. If you're in the middle of a really heated issue, which I think we've all been in before, there are tools, like I used one called AgriPulse, and it takes it's an entire social media tool. You can use it for just about anything, but I literally only used it for I could put in a certain number of words. If any of those words showed up, I would get woke up from a deep sleep. I knew this was a very heated thing. I want to know exactly when this comes up so I could handle it right away. And I had a plan in place of what I was going to say when that did. That was a fun time. I think for like a month, my hand was about the shape of my cell phone because I just did it like this. Right. But so there's a lot of great tools. So you can hire someone. Obviously, you can find the tools online. SEMrush has a really good brand monitoring. But then you can also just go old school. You can put your self in, incognito and Google your company. You should be doing that. You should know what people are saying about you when you're not you. So there's a lot of ways to monitor. And then improving your brand is just, that's a whole conversation, but it's having that intentional strategy, having that content on your values and creating those activities. Like, we can all get so busy. We say that, it's part of our values to do better. But what are we doing that's better? And so if we have a strategy for it, then we're going to actually put something on the calendar, and then we can talk about it and have it out there. And sometimes, and not just to be like an obnoxious marketing person, which is what I am, but sometimes, so you can lean into the things that so if, here's an example. There was a developer I was working with, and they consistently had issues, things pop up around people. I live in the Pacific Northwest, so people get upset when you cut down trees. People get upset when there's nowhere to live, but then if you cut down trees to make those places to live, they also get upset. So we knew there was a big development coming. Let's get involved with community groups planting trees. Let's blog about it. Let's talk about it, because you know what? We enjoyed it. Like, your team will love doing it. Like, it was something that everyone, a part of it, really loved it. So it's not terrible to talk about it, right? It's not this, oh, we hated it, we just did it because we did it. We were strategic a little bit with the good we were doing in our community. And then when people were upset, we said, we understand, we have this plan. These are the trees we're replanting and where we're putting them, and kind of pointing them to that information that you had already done. You're not now planting trees because they're mad. You've already planted trees. So that's kind of the proactive brand reputation and talking about it. That's just a little example of that.
Sure. Yeah. And having stuff like that out there then too, then if you have to deal with someone kind of on the reactive side, which we're going to get to in a bit here too, that's perfect stuff to be able to address them to. These guys don't care about the environment. Well, we kind of do. And then, you know, you'll still get comments and they'll say, oh yeah, that's just kind of a PR thing. And, you know, you can't, I don't think we can ever control any of that kind of stuff though too. So, but great thoughts on that too. I think the content, you're right, just kind of keep the content out there. And I'm guilty as well. I have a blog that I want to continue putting education out, and it always gets on the back burner, and I haven't updated it, so I gotta work better at that on myself. So I wanted to kind of keep this moving as we're at 4:36 here too. So make a plan for your team members. You were talking a little bit about this. We were talking about kind of that company feeling and, you know, making them feel part of the company. But I think on this, as we're getting ready for this, is almost like a plan for your team members if they experience anything online. Is that kind of what we're talking about here too? Like make sure they have a plan on how they're going to respond?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's all those things. It is the warm and fuzzy, but it is, if they need to know that they're empowered. What am I empowered? If a situation comes up, what am I? And so since we're on the proactive side, for them, it's how am I empowered? What is the plan that I have that I can do so this doesn't turn into a troll? What can I as a team member do? And if you've communicated that before there's a problem, then they're going to respond the correct way. Most of the time.
You're on the same page, and everybody on the same brand path makes total sense to be able to align, stack them up against the troll, right?
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I had a situation back in the day where I didn't even know anything was happening, and it was probably late 2000s or somewhere around there, and somehow just by happenstance I got an email reply back from, it was a really like super fundamentalist group of something, and I forget what it was, but it came replied back to me, and it says, if that's how you guys are going to be treating people out there or something like that. I mean, it was really like, we're going to do all this. I had no idea what was going on. Well, here I found out my salesperson at the time must have got it, and it must have come through our sales funnel somehow or something like that. Got it, and they were, I don't know, complaining about something, and I forget what it was. And my salesperson at the time replied back really nasty. I think part of the email ended with, why don't you go back into the hole that you came in and climb back into the hole? And I was like, livid, obviously, at the time with my salesperson, and I had to do the old backpedal via email with people and all that kind of stuff. So I obviously did not have a plan in place, but didn't even know where that came from at the time too. But this is why I have no hair, you see.
Yeah. Well, and then that's too where and another example of leveraging your CRM. So I worked with a builder, and we created, it was this multi-page plan, and we had several examples of things that could go wrong, and here's what you say, an example of what can. But then we also had the most common ones already integrated into the CRM as templates. So you don't have to go dig for the policy. You have a folder with those email templates that are for those issues. And so if you're a construction super, if you work in warranty, or if you're a salesperson, anyone on that chain, if you're an OSC, like, oh my gosh, I got this, what do I do? And again, the templates are great because you can customize them and tailor them to that situation, but it's going to give you a start and help you understand the spirit in which the company would like you to respond.
So damage control, damage control type of a deal. So now you both kind of work. So when you work with builders and they want to set this up, I mean, do you have kind of a process you're mapping out with them? Is that done like just a whole bunch of sticky notes on the walls? Is it a little bit more advanced than that? I mean, just to start, as you map out that process, what does that kind of look like for folks?
Heidi, you want to go first?
When I work with clients to map out some of these processes, especially when it entails the CRM, I recommend that they start small. Start small. Pick your top 2 or 3 questions that you get and make templates for those, but start small and work your way up. So we're going to decide that we're going to be more proactive in our communication. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a post-sale process. Get that in the works, get everybody used to that, and then grow from there. Now we're going to do a warranty process or a home maintenance process, that sort of thing. So I always recommend just starting small. Don't try to bite off the entire thing at once. Work it in incrementally, and it'll help. But have the plan for the entire layout. But work it in increments.
Yeah, because you'll learn as you go, right? I mean, you're going to learn like that was not the best reaction or something, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, and for me, I think I definitely very similar there with the start small. How I love to start. Every project can be a little different, but how I love to start is with a massive brand audit, because I think what we'll find is we have our own bias. So what the problem you think you're solving for isn't the problem. So I'm gonna survey your team members. I'm gonna pour through your customer surveys, and if you don't have them, I'm gonna survey some of your customers. And I'm going to do some of those, like monitor your brand online. I'm going to do some digging into that and find what people are saying and pull out some key points. And chances are that might align with exactly what you thought you need to focus on, but it might highlight, you know what, since we're going to start small, like Heidi said, because that's the best way to do it. But we were thinking the priority focus should be here. Let's pivot, because we now see this. Let's pivot and priority focus here and create a plan that branches out to that.
Nice. Very good. Okay. So the next point I just want to see if I'm going to challenge your thinking or not on this one too. But how about welcoming the trolls themselves? Any thoughts when I say that? I'm just going to leave it out there. Heidi, I'm going to start with you this time. What are your thoughts about welcoming trolls? And that's not like an official CRM, like, hello, troll. Come on and talk smack about me.
I love this point in here, because I'll say something controversial. Your troll is also your biggest fan. People who tend to have this sort of behavior have it throughout their lives, not just on negative things, but also positive things. So, if you speak with them, encourage the conversation. Reach out to them. Certainly don't leave things just left hanging. We're just going to ignore them and they'll go away. They're not going to go away. They still feel unheard, and that's going to continue to feel unheard until they feel heard. So to be a little bit proactive, make sure that they feel heard as quickly as possible. Engage in that conversation with them. What's the issue? How can we assist with it? How can we help? I've seen in so many cases, those trolls actually, once you right the boat on whatever the issue is, become your biggest fan, because they know they're difficult. They know they're difficult to work with. They fully understand their own personality. When you're able to overcome that and overcome that issue, they're going to be your biggest fan, and they're going to be the first one to say, my home is beautiful, my home is great. Yes, we had some issues, but they fixed it. They're going to be the first to say that.
Very good. Melissa, agree? Disagree? Can I get you guys fighting?
I agree 1,000%. I think with your trolls, and remembering also that they're not trolls, they're humans engaged in one of the most expensive and emotional processes that they're going to experience for the next, on average, 3 to 5 years. So, so just kind of keeping that, and we all know feedback makes us better.
Yeah.
And that's what it starts as. And if you treat it as healthy feedback that you can grow from, you'll be better and they'll be happier.
Yeah, take the personal out of it. It's not a personal attack, but take it, like you said, for the feedback too. Heidi, I love what you said about they know it. One of my probably toughest customers I had, the only one in my 20-some years that I actually hung up on. long story on that, and I never would do that, but that when I got to that point,
Yeah, imagine you do that.
their email address was like grumpy something at whatever. So they knew it. They knew they were like that too. So you're right. So it kind of proved that too. So we talked a little bit about this, but I want to just talk about kind of tips for being reactive. And let's first talk, just for fun, we were talking a little bit about what you should do, but I want to start with what shouldn't you do? And I think there'll be some pretty obvious ones here, but go ahead. Let me hear some things you shouldn't do. I don't know if hanging up on them was the thing to do, but at that point it was
Don't ignore it. They're not going to go away. So,
all right.
And I would also say, don't think that you're above having trolls out there. I see builders and work with builders once in a while that are very confident in their processes and their people, and maybe a little overconfident. Just understand that it's a humbling experience, and that you will have it. You will overcome, or you will have that at some point. So be prepared for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'd say the great news for us, especially since we're kind of getting close on time, I think what all the things we said that you maybe should and shouldn't do as part of your proactive strategy are the same for your reactive strategy, but we're just going to say increase it by exponentially because it's important. It's extra important right now. Increase your focus on those things. You should never not respond to a review. Always respond to those reviews. But are you going to be even more proactive or more on top of it and more responsive, and have, take the time to consult with your team and leadership? Do we need to shift our messaging because this issue has gotten so big? So you're going to be doing a lot of not doing and doing a lot of the same things, but you're going to adjust your strategy and you're going to increase your intensity on it. And possibly this is when, maybe on a day-to-day basis, you don't need outside help. But this is where, because we say don't take it personal. It's so hard. We work so hard for our companies. It's so hard not to take it personal. This is where there is value in bringing in an outside party, just bringing in Heidi, bringing in Brett, bringing in someone to talk about it. And how much of that leverage is up to you, but that outside opinion is going to help bring you back and help you remember, because it's when you're heated about it and you're feeling the sting, it's so hard to see it for what it is.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing. And obviously the thing you don't want to do is just especially if it's online, you don't want to start a flaming war online because it's never going to end well for you as a builder. Even if you're completely right and you know it, and the buyer isn't, in the buyer's mind, they're completely right as much as you think you're right. And there's usually somewhere in the middle for the most part. And I found kind of more often than not, even during just building and just on a phone call, if a customer would end up getting mad or something, or a lot of it is just a misunderstanding. You have a customer that calls and says, hey, I have this stuff on my drywall. I'm just picking something. And in your head, oh yeah, we take care of that right before carpet goes in. So you kind of blow it off a little bit because it's going to get done, but the customer doesn't know that. And
they don't.
I would find myself often saying to myself, hold it, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for this. I knew it was going to get done. I know you didn't know it that. And usually just by saying that on a customer, if you're at that point in terms of a phone call, and I'm saying that it's not online, that goes a long way. The customer realizes oh, okay. I wasn't blowing you off. It was just, I know it's going to get taken care of, and it's just, that's a lot of what I found over the years in terms of my experiences happen.
Oh, go ahead.
One other thing in the what you should do that I see is get your facts straight. Internally, what happened to this situation? I see so often, the warranty manager will call and say, this is what we need to do, but without having all of the information. And Melissa knows this is amplified with on your lot things too, that you really need to rely on any notes that were in the CRM from the salesperson. Well, the salesperson told me that this was included. Oh man, How often do we see that? The salesperson told me that we could do this. You know, that sort of thing. Make sure that before you speak before you're reactive with this person, get your facts in order, and you know, make sure that your team is giving you the facts in an easy method.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I think the facts are really important, but then before delivering those facts, we've kind of hinted on it because we've talked about culture and we've talked about what kind of an experience this is for the buyer. But empathy, right? Because you touched on it a little bit too, Brad, like they don't know, and remembering that they don't know. But I worked with this woman, and she's someone I consider a mentor. She's brilliant. She just amazing woman, and she was the head of customer care for a builder, and she had this gift. And she would say her trick was find out what they're really mad about, because also sometimes when we're looking at it and we're like, this is stupid because their reaction doesn't match the situation. So if that's the case, what else is going on? And she would tell me stories of they had just put a parent into hospice. So they are freaking out over sheetrock, but they're not. They needed to freak out about something. So she was so gifted at giving them that space and letting them do it. And she could shift because she came from such a genuine and empathetic position. She was armed with the facts first so that she could speak with them calmly, but she would look at the situation and go, this is, you know, when people become troll-like, oftentimes there is something else influencing.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I've had that plenty of times too. Now, do you think if you, let's say you have someone online and they're, you know, doing, oh my gosh, the call's coming through. But if, you know, they're online and they're blasting you online, and let's say you do reach out and you contact them and you get it handled at that point directly. And if you haven't done that online, it's through calls. You know, calls probably best more than emails, because we all know emails can sometimes get misconstrued too, especially when someone's upset on one end of it. Is it okay, do you think, or do you think you should, as a home builder, ask the birds that, you know, once you believe they are satisfied, ask them, you know, hey, thank you very much. My online reputation is important. Do you mind, you know, doing a follow-up? Is that weird to ask home buyers to do that? Or is this kind of, I don't know.
That would depend on the situation and how heated it got. But I'd say that that's never a problem, and really just being really consistent with that, and don't hide your reaction too. Like, I know something else that I've seen great success with is when you're having a big crisis issue, showing, because part of your response is about helping the person with the problem, but the other part is, I'm the marketer, remember, showing your future customers that you do care. And so we could go on and create a post, and you could say, my name is Heidi. I am so sorry that you had this. Make it very personal. I'm so sorry you had this experience. Here is my phone number. Here is my email. And I've seen that when people are using that kind of a tactic, that can change. So the person, this purple person here, might still be purple and upset, but what can happen is it neutralizes the people around, because they see, like, oh my gosh, she put, this is her, this says Heidi at ECI, this is her email, this is her phone number. This person's complaining that they're not getting a call back, but Heidi is right here online saying, call me.
Right. That's much more effective than just deleting the issue. I think that are very savvy, and it's really easy to tell when you've just deleted an issue and it looks suspicious. Hinky, we'll say.
Because that's usually, if you just start deleting, that's when they get even madder, and that's when they're going and buying the domain names or setting up the groups and those type of things. So like, hey, they can't delete this.
Yeah, but even if it's resolved, even if the issue is resolved,
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know, it looks suspicious if things are deleted rather than showing the how the resolution that was come.
Sure. Fair enough. Fair enough. Hey, folks, we're getting here to the top of the hour. Otherwise, I didn't get your pictures on this one. I wanted to have different slides. Connect with any of us. We're on LinkedIn. On Facebook, I have my, I never do it. I have a little free group over there, the Welcome to Home Building. If you're not yet in it, I'd love to have you in there too. It's a non-spammy place other than you have to hear from me every once in a while, but I'd like you to hear from the other groups on here too. But both Heidi and Melissa are on LinkedIn as well, so make sure you connect with them. Heidi, ECISolutions.com, you're lasso for the CRM. If there's any questions that, you're happy to help. And Melissa, you have what, doandb.agency, is that what it is?
Yep.
That's really cool then too. So, definitely reach out to any one of us if you have any questions. I want to have time if anybody has any questions here, anything you want to throw in the chat. I don't think I'm ever going to use that question thing. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. The chat's just as much fun to me. I don't know.
And I would say we do have a checklist that we're going to be sending out after the call. So if you can add doandb.agency to your contact, it's Melissa at doandb.agency, or just know to check your spam folder.
What are you spamming people for? So dang marketers anyway.
Less than a year old, so it gets stuck.
All right. Well, thank you both for being part of this and putting up with my tomfoolery here for an hour and all that good stuff. So always good information. You guys are such a pleasure to do any type of program with, and wish you continued success on everything you do too. And thank everybody for attending here today too. I'm very thankful that you took time out of your schedule to listen to us as well.
I appreciate you having this, Brad.
All right. Everybody have yourself a great week.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. See ya. Bye-bye.